the largest LEGO convention in Australia, and it's packed full of all kinds of mind-blowing creations. Let's take a deep dive. We're going to look in detail at all of the constructible action figures, the character and creature builds, and, of course, the Bionicle creations. Here we go. Let's kick things off with the Bionicle table, which was a very sizable display showcasing the works of multiple different Bionicle builders. This is where I actually displayed my new Kitongu MOC, which I'm super happy with how this turned out. And it seems like a lot of people really enjoyed seeing it at the convention, which is always nice. Over to some of Anthony Wilson's creations. We start off with an adorable diorama featuring Huki and Maku. It's so cute. And what a great little seaside base for them to stand on. That really completes this little scene. He also brought his truly exceptional Toa Tuet MOC. And that combination of trans pink and dark blue is wonderful. Yeah, and the way that it looks like crystals are coming out of their body, that's a great design. Then we've got another adorable pair of Matoran just next door. I believe that these were built by Magmafrost 13. It's a very interesting foot design that they've got going on. Very distinct. Nearby, Jack Frost has brought their iconic Lava Beast revamp. I mean, this is so freaking impressive. Every time I see this, I'm blown away by its size, by its power, and all of the lighting as well. I mean, how incredible is this? Another MOC that uses lighting very well is this one. The pop of blue on the claws is wonderful. And great idea to use some of those Mutta arm pieces in black for a leg design. The interesting angle that piece naturally rests at, it looks dope. I love this MOC as well. The head design uses a bit of an older piece. These large blue dishes originally appeared in the old X-Pods theme. They were kind of like little storage containers that you could also use as pieces within the build. It's so cool. Yeah, Jack is pretty much the only Australian builder who takes the same very long journey to Brick Fair in the USA every year. So I've actually seen his creations at multiple different cons all around the world. And every time I see them, they consistently wow me. They never get old. You might also recognize Jack's Neko robot, but this time, it's been rebuilt into a maid outfit. I'm still a big fan of how he's used those old black letter tiles for a face design. That's just so clever. And related to that, Magmafrost brought some little chibi versions of the original and the new version of this build. So cute! And hey, while we're talking about Magmafrost, let's check out some of his stuff. Magmafrost always brings these brick-built dolls, which are just so expressive and so well designed. They just have such a distinct art style to them, which is so instantly recognizable. Every time I see these, I just want to build something similar. They're just very wonderfully done. Scooby-Doo and the gang next door, something very adorable about the use of these tan headlight bricks for eyes. Nice thinking. You might notice throughout the rest of this video that there's going to be a lot of these brick-built MOC cards, which communicate the name of each builder and the name of the creation. You see a lot of people at Brickvention personalizing these MOC cards, and I love how Magmafrost has put a few custom masks on his. Purple glittery masks? Oh, I wish those were real. Well, produced by LEGO, I guess these are real, you can buy them. You know what I mean. Yeah, Magmafrost brings a lot of different creations to Brickvention every single year. And see, that's the beauty of building smaller creations, I guess. It means you can bring heaps of stuff. Often creations that get the most buzz at conventions are the big, towering, huge displays. Which, yes, are very impressive and cool to see, but I'm a big fan of the smaller builds like this. Builds that can very easily get lost amongst the plethora of creations at a convention like this. But when you do take the time to look at them, you're rewarded with amazing techniques, brilliant designs, and some clever part usage. Like this, for example, a flower inside a flower pot. But this thing is pretty much exclusively made out of Krana. You know, the little brains inside the Borok sets. Never would have thought that you could use these like this. That's really smart. And speaking of clever part usage, I love this little undersea diver riding on a creature. Look at that diving helmet. It's using a fairly new LEGO piece. This comes on a variety of the LEGO Dreams sets. It's often used as a kind of cauldron, like you can see here. But dang, this works really well for an old-fashioned diving helmet. More great part usage on this crab as well. The idea that it's got a bit of a shipwreck on its back with coral and other plants growing over it, I love that. It's so good to see something so vibrant and colourful. Speaking of which, these creations use 4 different colours of an old LEGO theme called Spybotics. It's kind of an obscure LEGO theme, you might not have heard of it before, but if we zoom in a little bit, you can see this piece on the torso. It's actually part of the controllers that controlled these Spybotic sets. So clever. And I think the same can be said for Gully's mask, the way it's been used here. It's either some type of hair design or some kind of fancy hat. Whatever it is, it looks cool. See man, that's one of my favourite things to do at a LEGO convention. You just walk around and you see all the different ways that people have used the LEGO pieces in really creative and different ways. Even just something like this, using that Earth globe piece from this lovely Technic set. How delightful. Okay, sure, yeah, this is the way it's actually supposed to be used. It's not really a clever, unique part use, but I like it. A couple more creations by Magmafrost. We have a kind of mermaid character that's swimming through these trans blue squares. These are actually rather obscure LEGO pieces. They are picture frames from an old LEGO theme called Clickets. You see, Magmafrost is like me. They adore weird and rare LEGO pieces. And actually, we spent a bit of time walking around the vendors at Brickvention and buying up all sorts of odd and obscure stuff. So stay tuned for videos about those things. I do love some weird LEGO pieces. We're still on that Bionicle table. This was an action-packed table. We have one of the best, if not the best, Kopaka Mata revamp there is. This is built by Patrick Biggs. And just next door to that, we have probably the best Pahatu G2 revamp that I've ever seen. Sadie has built these creations, as well as some of the other ones that we're going to be looking at next. Now, as cool as Pahatu looks, and he really does look very, very cool, the creature of stone that's on the diorama below Pahatu, they're adorable. What a nice idea to use some of these Infinity Stone pieces for eyes. This might just be one of the smallest LEGO pieces ever made, and it works really, really well right here. Lovely use of some of these old Bionicle canister lids for an adorable hermit crab. Now, okay, look, if you think this is cute, you're gonna love everything that Sadie has made. She's a master at building adorable creatures, and they're often scattered and layered with very clever part usage as well. I mean, it's a perfect combination. Yeah, like using some of these new leaf pieces for arms and for bunny ears. That's genius. Yeah, Sadie's displays are always a highlight of Brickvention, for me anyway. I think the accessories are what really sells Sadie's stuff. Yeah, like here, a fish on a table, the character's holding a fishing rod, and even these yellow overalls. How delightful. And the other additional background details on this guy, they work really well. But I quite like these pants. See how they use these armor pieces that come on Pahatu Fantoka's claw weapons? That's kind of a really good way of depicting these baggy pants that you often see on a monk. Nice thinking. And Sadie's last MOC here, it shows us some Life on Mars representation, which is such a good LEGO theme. This revamp is pretty dope. I really like how it's using some of these Borok windscreen pieces on the back. And if you look closely, you can also see Kopaka Nuva's mask in green. Very well integrated. So that's it for this quite large Bionicle table. Let's take a look at the rest of the con. One of my good friends Tim brought some incredible D&D creations. 2 fantastic beholders here, but the new one that he brought, Xanathar. Oh, it's so good. The popping azure color scheme, the sensational shaping around the mouth, as well as on the top of the head. This is exquisite. Tim is a master of creature design. And speaking of which, he brought this brilliant looking dragon. There is actually a system diorama just next to this that he also brought, but I'm just focusing on the character and creature builds in this video. Still, love your work, Tim. Another friend of mine, Tamara, brought an exquisite creation that showcases a lady in a dress, as well as this table with a key and a birdcage. How about this birdcage design? Great use of some of these golden zipline pieces to pull off that curved cage look. These pieces appear in gold in a couple different sets, one of which is this Spider-Man vs. Vulture set. You can see this piece off to the side there, not really included in the build. But yeah, the birdcage is cool, but I don't know, man, this dress design is fantastic. It's always a pleasure seeing larger scale system creations like this. Let's check out my personal favorite display of the convention. This is Jafer's Year of the Dragon display. So every single month in 2024, which was the Year of the Dragon, Joss built a different dragon creation. And they were often fun mashups of things like a pumpkin dragon for October, or a bee and a dragon fused together. It was really, really cool. And it's amazing to see them in person. And to see them all side by side like this, it's an experience I'm not going to forget. It was actually quite fun seeing the public taking a look at all of these. Everyone was just wowed by how good they are. I was in fact very wowed by how good they are. I spent quite a lot of time looking at these guys. I'll show you a few close-up details of each of the dragons here, but I'm not going to show you too much, because I've got a whole separate video planned where I'm going to showcase these in heaps of detail, with a few behind-the-scenes looks as well. So stay tuned for that one, it's going to be a good video. But how good are these dragons? Oh, good stuff. I'm a big fan of this next creation by Briefly Bricks. It's a kind of music spirit. You can see that it's resting on this old speaker. But yeah, I love the vibrant colours and the exotic colours that are all over this. And the fur textures, they've been done quite well, especially on the tail. These are using some pieces that often appear on things like street sweepers. You also see them in like car wash sets. But yeah, taking them out of that Lego City context and putting them on a creature build, great idea. It looks amazing. The next creation depicts characters from the manga Lupin III. You know, it's always a difficult task to recreate the look of a character's face in Lego. So it's great to see the builder really giving that a good go, and doing a great job. This actually matches the source material fairly well. I quite like the mouth design, the eyebrows, it gives this character so much life. It's good stuff. Over to a recreation of the iconic video game character, Doom Guy. Olive green really is the perfect colour for this. I'm so glad that Lego color exists, it's so good. And I quite like what Jason did on this helmet design. Using some trans light blue tiles and cheese slopes for the visor, it's a good look. Now while we're talking about Jason's creations, he also built this fun little Starscream model. Instantly recognizable, looks great. And hey, if you like this and you want your own version of it, there are actually instructions for this. So go scan that QR code and get them for yourself. Now while we're talking about some Transformers, check out this table that is filled with heaps of really impressive Transformer MOCs. We've got a lovely little collection of assorted Transformers here, and if we take a closer look at a few of them, you can see some custom printing on their heads. This is quite a clever way of pulling off the same aesthetic that you see on the official LEGO Bumblebee set. His head design is pretty similar to this. I really like how these head designs look, even if they're a little bit more custom, but I like custom stuff, so it's cool. The face on this custom Megatron is quite well done, and look at all these greebles. Even the little highlights of gold, they really, really pop. Yeah, it's also quite nice to see a LEGO version of Megatron because, you know, as nice as it would be, the LEGO group is never, ever gonna release a Transformer set that turns into a tank or a gun, much like Megatron does. But yeah, it's just not really something that they do within their policy and their ethics, so it's nice to see a mock of it instead. We also have a nice little collection of Transformers from the awesome animated show Transformers Prime. These look amazing. I'm a big fan of Bulkhead in the middle here. More lovely olive green, and I really like how his chin design has been done. Very nice. We've also got a few Decepticons from Transformers Prime, and mate, these look so good. Look at how Megatron uses a lot of these 1x2 wedge curved slope pieces in light bluish grey. It gives him this awesome, spiky, sinister look. The same kind of look that he does have in the show. That's dope. And my boy Shockwave has never looked better. I'm glad that LEGO has a lot more purple pieces these days. I feel like 10 years ago or so, that was a much rarer colour. So making something like this would be very difficult. Not anymore, baby. Then we'll round off some of these Transformers Prime bots with Optimus Prime, but the more enhanced version of him. Look at these wings. Yeah, anytime I see a LEGO Optimus Prime, it just brings me so much joy. My favourite Transformer, and my favourite thing, LEGO. All in one, it's a good time. We also have MOCs that showcase Transformers from Transformers 1, the fantastic animated movie that came out last year. Now, by the way, a lot of these actually do transform. The builder was showing me some of that at the convention, and it was very impressive. So maybe you should go check out their Instagram and see them transform for yourself. Blaze MOCs doesn't just build good Transformers though, they have a Helldiver and Kratos, recreated in LEGO form. These are just instantly recognizable, and they're so good. Yeah, head sculpts like this at such a small scale, they're not an easy thing to do. But it's been done very well here, and the big stripe of red across the head, so awesome. Now let's move over to a display by my good friend Patrick Biggs, who took the very long journey to Australia all the way from Denmark. And they brought a bunch of very good creations with them. Now, the way that Patrick has replicated the anatomy of a bird, it's just breathtaking work. And this awesome all-white colour scheme, that's a thing of beauty. You see these white fur pieces along the bird's neck? These are just the most helpful pieces. You see them on a variety of different Hero Factory sets or Chima Ultra builds, like the one you're seeing here. They're good pieces. Go out and buy some if you don't have any. And see, this is a great example of how good they can look on a MOC. Patrick's Leo MOC actually uses some more of these fur pieces. How good does this mane of fur look? Plus, this MOC is just so striking with its black and white colour scheme. And the little tiny hints of gold, fantastic. Now, a lot of Aussie builders were very impressed with this guy. I was watching as a lot of them were looking. This one was another standout creation with even more of those fur pieces, this time in black. But again, Patrick, he's flexing on us. He's a master of recreating animal anatomy with Lego bricks. This looks just like a wolf. It's amazing. And check out this nice little bird design as well. There's a few of them flying around this tree. It's just a very compact and well-crafted bird. I love it. We got some lovely sand green leaves on this weeping wyvern bonsai tree, which is a very fun concept in itself. And look at all the detail that's been packed into this face. It's beautiful. There is one more MOC that Patrick brought, and unfortunately my close-up photo came out a little blurry. But you can see this Iron Warden on this tan base off in the corner there. If we zoom in a little bit, you can see some lovely red wires poking out of the torso. That's a good look. Oh, and one more that's tucked away. You might recognize this little monolith from LEGO Fortnight. Patrick was actually the person that designed this little dude. This is the original version right here. And actually there's official LEGO instructions for this online, so you can build it yourself. Quite cool to see the OG version right here in person. See, that's the kind of stuff you can only see at a LEGO convention. If you haven't been to one, you should. There was also a pretty sizable Galador display at Brickvention this year. Not something you see every day. Sure, it's the LEGO theme that almost bankrupted LEGO, but hey, looking back on this theme, it's really cool. And the pieces are very fun to play with. So yeah, there's a nice collection of a lot of the official sets on display here, and this quite nice brick-built Galador logo too. But, we have a few Galador MOCs as well, including this little terrarium that inside houses a horrifying Galador creature. I mean, this is actually a really fun idea. A little enclosure for this exotic creature. And it just goes to show you the weird and very strange stuff that you can build using Galador's pieces. Yeah, cursed Galador stuff, it's part of the reason why I love this theme. And there's a few more Galador MOCs here as well. I quite like this Euripides with a little study behind him, and giving the set some little brick-built glasses. That's amazing. They suit him so well. We've also got a cool looking bedroom for Nick Bluetooth. You don't really see too many system brick-built dioramas to accompany construction MOCs. But this is just packed full of detail, it's great to see. We also have a smaller minifigure scale version of this exact diorama, and I like that. Building the same MOC but in different scales. It's very clever. Speaking of minifigure scale, here's a few minifigure scale versions of some of the Galador sets and the cast of Galador. They recreated these quite nicely. And we're not done yet, still plenty more Galador MOCs on this table. Seeing this, it reminds me of a story that I heard about Brick Fair, Virginia in the past. That's the convention in the US. Apparently a few different US builders requested a Galador-specific table to display some Galador MOCs. But the event organisers didn't actually give them a table because they assumed it was a big old joke. They ended up working something out in the end, so they did have a place to display their stuff. But see, that's the thing. Galador is a bit of a joke in the LEGO community. But thankfully we got good MOCs like this that show us that it's not a joke, it's actually pretty cool. I mean, like this mech, for example. Taking that egg pod set and turning it into a colossal towering giant? That's honestly really incredible. See, there's so much potential in this Galador theme, and so many good pieces too. Up next, we have a nice little superhero display which showcases some very cleverly designed brick-built characters. They appear to be quite posable as well, which is always a nice bonus. These are cool. Oh yeah, and then a nice large display by my friend Nick. And zooming in closer, we can see a pretty cool lime figure in the center. I love how this looks. But I must say, my favorite part has to be the back. Look at this wonderful spine design, using some of those dark gray dots pieces. That looks really sick. Nice work, Nick. These next few creations are all built by one builder, but actually, the MOCs themselves, they're using instructions from the website Rebrickable. It's an interesting concept to bring someone else's creations to a LEGO convention. I'm not sure that's something that I would do myself. But hey, these are cool looking designs. And I mean, if you want to make them yourselves, I guess there are instructions for you out there on the website Rebrickable, so you can. This LEGO Groot is adorable. The rage-filled facial expression is iconic. Very well captured. But I am a big fan of the LEGO Iron Giant that's built right here. Great movie, great character, and this design captures his likeness very well. Now take a look at this absolutely stunning classic space spaceship. You might be thinking to yourself, Ben, this is not a Bionicle, what is this doing in the video? And you'd be right. But take a closer look at the back. We have ourselves a blue Huna, a Bionicle mask that came on this set. What a clever part use. Great idea to take advantage of the natural gaps within this LEGO piece to help attach these pipes into the main section of the ship. Nice part use. There was also this creation on display. It's quite rare to see a creation that depicts some of the old system Bionicle playsets. So yeah, okay, of course, this diorama is a bunch of sets on a brick-built diorama. But there's a few modifications here and there, and I'll tell you what, this looks like it would be a lot of fun to play with. I like this custom base for this gold Visorak to reside in. That's a nice, new inclusion. And it's also fun to see some lights underneath all of these minifigure scale Visorak. But just behind this diorama, we've got a few of the 2005 Bionicle sets. Gosh, those sets are 20 years old now. Yikes. But hey, it's always nice to see a small collection of Bionicle sets. Oh yeah, this one's a bit of fun. A very well made little Technic truck. It looks good. Totally just a truck and nothing more. Just a truck. Oh no wait, it transforms. That is really smart. It's such a seamless transition as well. I'm a big fan of Transformer creations that you just don't see coming. Sometimes you'll see a custom vehicle creation that, has weird bits sticking out the back, or, just looking at it, you can tell that it's going to transform. But this one here really was a robot in disguise. I didn't see it coming. And the fact that it's automated to transform on its own? Genius. Over to my boy Anthony Wilson and his amazing display. Anthony has a nice little collection of creations that vary in subject matter, but they're all consistently very well designed. A few of these MOCs are returning creations that you might have seen before in past videos. Anthony doesn't really build that much these days, but hey, it's always a pleasure to see his older work, and it's always a pleasure to hang out with him at this convention as well. So this was my first time seeing this one in person, and I'm a big fan. A large, towering knight with moss growing over their body. It's as if a castle wall came to life and spawned this cool looking dude. That's pretty sick. And the Aquasaurus. I'm such a big fan of this MOC. The vibrant color scheme, the popping colors, the curvature of the body. It's sensational. This dragon is also quite delightful, and I love that it's sitting on a coffee machine. What a nice inclusion. Anthony really is a master builder. I really hope he returns to building MOCs someday. He's very talented. Moving over to a more system-focused MOC, and this one's maybe pushing it for being Construction or Bionicle related, but this Ahsoka bust is extraordinary. A 1-to-1 scale recreation of this amazing character, I love it. And recreating characters' faces with Lego bricks, it is extremely difficult to do. To perfectly capture those subtle curves, the lines, the indents of a human face, and at the same time, making sure they actually look like the character, that's very tough. But they nailed it. So accurate, so good. Now let's finish off this video with Greg's amazing Star Wars mechs. Here we see quite a clever concept of different Star Wars characters riding inside mechs that are based off of that exact character. It blows me away how much detail is crammed into each one of these mechs. And just looking at the shaping of each of the mechs as well, it's so compact, it's so clean. They're just instantly recognizable as each of the characters. Really nice stuff. I quite enjoy this buffed up R2-D2. The bulkier design, it surprisingly works. It fits him well. And of course he's got his best friend with him as well, it's C-3PO. My favorite part here has to be this torso design. Using a few Bionicle pieces in the center there, it's rounded off quite well. Even the head design, it looks just like him. This is wonderful. So I'll leave you with a few more images of some of these amazing Star Wars mechs. And that is a wrap on my coverage of Brickvention 2025. That's a bunch of the Construction and Bionicle focused MOCs that were on display. I hope you enjoyed this longer and more detailed coverage of the convention, and hey, if you ever want to make the trip down to Australia, I highly recommend coming to Brickvention. It's such a good convention, and the quality of MOCs is very impressive. But that's all for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching, happy building, and bye for now.